Okay, good to talk, everybody. Once again, as we continue our Motzi Shabbos marathon with 30 strong Zoomers here this evening, and Ruvain, Avram, Shimon, and Blumenfeld here in the shul, and also a lively Olam on Facebook, and of course our TorahAnytime.com viewers, our Koloshan viewers, and all those that listen in all the other different ways, like on YouTube. We are holding on the bottom line of Daf Ayin Ches Amid Beis, bottom line of Daf Ayin Ches Amid Beis. Tanu Rabbanan. Ganav, if let's say Marshall steals something, V'nasan la'achar, and he gave it to another person, he gave it to Shelley to slaughter it for me. He didn't give him matana, because if he gave it to him matana, he's already chayiv, that's considered like mochar. But he gave it to Shelley v'tavach, and Shelley slaughtered it. Ganav, or he stole it, v'nasan la'achar, he gave it to Shelley u'mochar, and Shelley sold it. Ganav v'hikdish, or he slaughtered it and dedicated it to the temple. Or Ganav v'hikif, he stole it and sold it to somebody on credit. He sold it to Mark, who told him, I'll pay you. Or Ganav v'hiklif, or he stole it and bartered with somebody for 2 days in Florida. Ganav v'nasam b'matana, or he stole it and gave it as a gift. Ganav v'para chayva, he stole it and paid a debt. He owes money all over town. Or Ganav v'para b'kefa, he stole it and he paid the butcher who he had credit by. Ganav v'shalach savlanas b'beis chamav, or he stole it and gave gifts to his future father-in-law's house. In all of these situations, you don't have to actually sell it. As long as you give it away, even as a gift, mishalem arba v'chamisha. So the Gemara says, I mean, this would seem to be pretty straightforward and simple. What's the chiddush over here? Says the Gemara, the chiddush is when he gives it to Shelley and Shelley sells it, maybe that's Shelley's fault, because you're not allowed to sell stolen merchandise. And even though Shelley says, Marshall told me to do it, but Divrei Harav, Divrei HaTalmud, Divrei Mishayim, who do you listen to? But it's telling us that, remember, we say over here, Yesh Shliach L'Dvar Aveira, and therefore Marshall is chayiv, even though Shelley slaughtered it, even though Shelley sold it. So Kamashma Ashmina Reisha Ganav v'Nasan La'achar v'Tavach, that where he stole it and then gave it to Shelley to slaughter, the Yesh Shliach L'Dvar Aveira, that there is a agent. And therefore, when Shelley does this, shluchah shaladim k'maiseh, and Marshall is chayiv. Now, afal gav de b'kol Torah kula, even though in the rest of the Torah ain't shlich l'dvar aveira, because we say Shelley shouldn't have listened, right? Divrei Harav, Divrei HaTalmud, Divrei Mishayim. However, hacha yesh shlich l'dvar aveira. Why? My timer. Utavacha yomacharei matfi mechira dolayavsha delav al yidei achar. Just like selling it, it's not possible unless you have a buyer. Even by slaughter, even if he does it through someone else, he's chayiv. Ba'ashminon seifa ganav v'hikdish, that if Marshall steals it and dedicates it, we say just like when you sell it to someone else, you're chayiv. So also when you dedicate, so it's transferring from you to hekdish, mali machal lehedia. What's the difference if you transfer it to another person, mali machal l'shemayim, or if you transfer it to the domain of heaven? New Mishnah. As we welcome in Yehuda from Yerushalayim, so we have now two people in Eretz Yisrael, Dr. Block in Ben Gurion Airport, and Yehuda in Yerushalayim. What an international share this is. It's really, really beautiful.
What's the difference between the one who pays his debt with it and the one who pays his credit with it?
It's just another case. There's no difference. The same thing as there's no difference between giving a gift or giving a gift to your father-in-law's house. It's also the same thing. Just giving different scenarios.
But it doesn't say that Marshall went, he sold to Mark told to sell the animal, but Marshall didn't tell him you stole it. Unless Marshall told him you stole it, then they're both chayav.
No, they're not both chayiv. Only Marshall is chayiv.
Marshall, not Mark.
No, not Mark. Mark's a nice guy. Mark's a nice guy. I mean, he could come more often to share. I mean, but okay.
I don't know you that well, I see.
Now,
Why is Swade laughing?
no, it's interesting because Aaron Swade knows that there's a din of kol ha-poisel b'mumay poisel. Whoever disqualifies with his own blemish. So therefore, when you call Mark names, Aaron knows what that's all about. Yeah.
Otherwise known as call me a thief.
I call you a thief because you are a thief. Now, the Gemara now says as follows. Anyway, I'm not calling you a thief. The Gemara is calling you a thief. Now,
What a cop-out answer.
now, let's get back to Marshall. Now, you know that in order to acquire something, you either have to do Mashicha, which is to cause the animal to come towards you, either by pulling it towards you or hitting it with a stick and it comes to you, or you could pick it up. Hagva kaina b'chol makom. Now, ganav v'rishus habaylim. If Marshall steals an animal in Abi's backyard, b'tovach u'machar chutz mirishusam, and he slaughters or sells it outside. That means he took it out, he acquired it. Or he stole it when it was outside, and then he did Mashicha and he brought it into Abi's backyard and slaughtered it, but he had already acquired it when he pulled it to him and brought it back into the Rishus. He stole it outside and made a kinyan Mashicha, and then slaughtered it or sold it. In all these cases, Mishalim Tashlumi Bava Kama Daf. This is all very obvious. Now, here is where it gets tricky. Aval Gana v'Tovach U'Macha B'Rishusam. He stole it, slaughtered it, and sold it, and he didn't take it out of the property yet. So that he didn't acquire it. So, Potter. Now, of course, he would be chayiv for damaging Abi's animal. Abi had a live animal, and he damaged it, but he wouldn't be chayiv for anything else, because he didn't acquire it.
But he's a ganav. How is he ganav then?
What?
How is he a ganav then?
He's not.
It's his ganav. He didn't make a kinyan on it.
It means that he came in, he didn't make a kinyan. When it says ganav, it means that it means that he attempted to steal it. But again, he would be chayiv for being a mazik. If, let's say, he pulled it, he was taking it out, but he didn't succeed. You can't make Mashicha in the Rishus of the Bailam. So he didn't succeed in taking it out of Abi's property, or Meis Rishus Bailam, and it died. Not that he killed it, it died. Potter, because he didn't acquire it, so he's Potter. Higviu, if he picked it up, now Hagva is kind of b'chol makom. So if he picked it up, he acquired it. Or he took it out, so then he acquired it, or Meis, then Chayiv, then Marshall is Chayiv. Now here, we're going to see that this lends itself to different interpretations. But
Excuse me, if he got it without a kinyan, so it's part of Tashlum Bava Kama Daf.
That's correct.
He's still a ganav.
He's not a ganav.
He's not paying for gneva.
What do you mean gneva? It's still in his rishus. It didn't go anywhere.
He he got over there, but he didn't make a kinyan.
What do you mean? What do you mean? He slept there? Now, Nasnu lebechayris benai. If here, Marshall, and listen, this Marshall, he's in Abi's backyard. He calls the Kayin, and he gives it to the Kayin. The Kayin thinks that he's the owner. He's in Abi's backyard, and he gives the Kayin the animal lebecharis b'nai for pidyon aben for his son. Or he says, "Hey, Mark, here, take this. I owe you money." Or he gives it. He gives it to Aaron. Because this is because Aaron was laughing. He gives it to Aaron. L'shay mechinam. He says, "Aaron, watch it for me." Or l'shayel. Or Aaron, you could borrow it. L'naisi sacher. Or he pays Aaron to watch it. U'l'seicher. Or he rents it to Aaron. V'yamayshcha yumeis, and the kayin, or Mark, the creditor, or the shimer, or the shayel, starts to pull it out of the Abi's backyard, or meis b'rishus habaylim, and it dies in the backyard, pater. Marshall is pater because it never got out. So nobody ever acquired it. Higviu, however, if the kayin, if Mark picked it up, or they took it out, the shimer took it out, the shayel took it out, omeis, and it dies, chayiv, Marshall is chayiv. Because again, remember, these people didn't know, and Marshall had them do a shlichus for him, right? So therefore, Marshall is chayiv. That's the way the Gemara learns now, and that's the way we're going to learn now, and the Gemara is now going to analyze this.
So the name of this Masechta is Marshall's Chayav, right?
Well, it's Marshall's law, yeah. Now, when we learn Sanhedrin, we'll call it Marshall's hanging. Mark doesn't like that. Okay, Marshall's stoning.
Malo says it's Bava Marshall.
Yeah. Now, there's Bava Mises and there's Bava Marshalls. Now, here's an interesting shayla. If I tell Aaron that I'm renting you this animal, now he has some liabilities as a renter. When does he become responsible for his liabilities as a renter? Does he have to make a kinyan on the animal or not? So, boy amemer tiknu meshicha b'shaymrim oiloi. Did they enact a kinyan meshicha by a shaymer, or a shayel, or a renter, or not? Now, let me explain to you. Really, midaraisa, when I buy something from you, I acquire it when I give you money. Midrabanan, they say it's not enough kesef by metaltal. Why did they do that? They did that because they're worried that if I buy wheat from you and I give you money, if I acquire it, if there's a fire in the silo, you won't bother to protect it because it's already mine. And you'll just tell me, Nisr Fuchitecha Ba'aliyah. Therefore, we say that I don't acquire it until I make Mashiach, until I pull it to me, and therefore, if it's a fire, you'll watch it. Now, that reason is not applicable by a renter or by a borrower, because since the item is mine, I'm still going to watch it. So the question is, did they make a kinyan Mashiach by Shaymim? Amar Rabbi Yemer Toshma, it says Nasnu leb'chayris b'nai, oy lebal chayvai, that in the event that Marshall steals from Abi and while he's in the courtyard, he gives it to the Kayin, or to his creditor, or to a Shomer Chinam Shal Naisi Sachar or Seicher, and then Hayamoishchai v'yotzei, if the Shomer, Aaron, was pulling it out and trying to go out, and it dies in the Abi's property, Potter. But if he's pulling it and it dies outside, so then Marshall is Chai. Now, but that would mean that that's because the Shomer, or the Shayel, or the Seicher, had in mind to make a Kinyan. And therefore, because he had in mind to make a Kinyan, and he's Marshall Shliach, because over here there's a Shliach L'Dvar Aveira, so then Marshall is Chai. But that's only if a Shomer needs to make a Kinyan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have in mind to make a Kinyan. So my lav Shomer, v'shmami not tiknu meshicha b'shomer, says the Gemara, no, you're learning the whole wrong pshat over here. What it means is, if Marshall steals it, it means that Marshall steals it from the Kayin, or from the creditor, or from a Shomer. And it's not talking about the way we learned the Mishnah. It's just giving us a case. If Abi gave his animal to a Kayin, and Marshall stole it from a Kayin, Amalei loy ganav. So, says the Gemara, what's the Chiddush? What's the difference if you steal it from the Kayin, if he's the owner, or if you steal it from the Bailam, who's an owner? Hatana le'reisha. There's no Chiddush then. So the Gemara says, Tana ganav sheganav bebeis haBalam. It tells us that if you steal from the owner, you're chayiv. And also, v'tana ganav sheganav bebeis shomer, that if you steal it from a guardian, you're also chayiv. So the Gemara says, I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense. There's no Chiddush. Why should you think that if you steal it from a shomer, you're not chayiv? Amalei Ravashi loy titchaye. Don't push me off with an answer that's not an answer. Mali ganav sheganav bebeis shomer. What's the difference if you steal it from a shomer? Mali ganav sheganav bebeis bailam, or you steal it from the owner. Elalav shomer. Rather, it's like we said, that Marshall was representing himself as the owner when he gave it to the Shomer, and the Shomer was taking it out, Vishmami na tiknu meshicha b'shomim, that in order for a Shomer to be liable for the liabilities of the Shomer, or to be liable for the liabilities of a Shayel or a renter, you need to make meshicha. Shmami na, that's a good proof. Just like there's a kinyan by lekuchas, kak tiknu meshicha b'shomer by a guardian, tanya nami hachi, kedach shetiknu meshicha b'lekuchas by a buyer, kak tiknu meshicha b'shomer by a guardian. And now the Gemara tells us another related kinyanim halacha. Just like real estate is acquired either with money or giving a deed of sale, or by making an improvement on the karka, kach schiris, so also a rental niknes bekesed b'shtar b'chazaka, with either money, a deed of rental, or with making an improvement. Says Gemara, schiris demai, renting what? Ilema, schiris of metaltalin, renting a snowblower, metaltalin b'nei shnarin, you can't acquire some movables with a star. Rav Chisda, no, it means schiris de karka, it means rental of real estate. Now, remember there's a difference between a ganav and a gazlan. Ganav pays kefil, that means stealing in stealth. A gazlan, a person that robs publicly, doesn't pay kefil. So now the Gemara tells us an application of this. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Ru'ua shehitmin b'churshin. If they saw Marshall hiding in a forest, v'tovach u'machar, and he slaughtered an animal, a veritable Robin Hood, he slaughtered an animal or sold it, Mishal Tashlumi Bava Kama. So the Gemara says, but he didn't acquire it. The forest is Abi's property, he didn't acquire it. Amai Holoi Moshe. No, it's talking about where he hit it with a stick. So the Gemara says, well, if they saw him steal it, Amrei, the Kavan de Ru'ua, if they saw him, then Gazlanu. Then he's a Gazlan. A Gazlan who steals in public doesn't pay kefil, doesn't pay dollar v'hei. Says the Gemara, Kavan de Kamitmere Minayu, since Marshall was hiding and skulking around, Ganavu. He's a Ganav, he's not a Gazlan. So the Gemara says, so then what's the case of a Gazlan? Vel a Gazlan eichidami, Amar Abivo, Kigain Baniyo ben Yoyada, like Baniyo ben Yoyada, the general, Shenema v'yigzol es hachanus miyada mitzri, he stole the spear from the mitzri, v'yargeyu b'achanisai, and he killed him with his own spear. So there he confronted him openly in public. That's a Gazlan. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Kigain Balei Shchem, like the people of Shchem, Shenema v'yisimu loy Balei Shchem, and they placed from the people of Shechem ma'arvim al rosh yaharim. They waited in ambush on the mountains. Vayigzalu es kol asher yaver aleim b'derech, and they stole from all the passerbys. So that's also a Gazlan. Now Rabbi Avo, why doesn't he count the people of Shechem? Rabbi Avo, my time amar mahai. So he says no. Since they laid in ambush, hiding, they're not Gazlanim. Amalach Kavan the Mitmere Itmure, since they lied in ambush, Lav Gazlanininu. While Rabbi Yochanan says no, they didn't hide because they were afraid, they hid because otherwise the people would run away. Rabbi Yochanan had to commit Mitmere, that which they hid, the loy ninu inche, that the passerby shouldn't see them, and flee from them. So they didn't hide in doing it in stealth because they were afraid. They hid only so that the passerby shouldn't avoid them. Now we know that a Gazlan doesn't pay kefil, a Ganav pays kefil. So why is there a difference? So says the Gemara, an interesting reason. Shalu Talmidov es Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The disciples asked Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Mipnei ma chmira Torah beganav yosim megazlan. Why, when somebody steals in stealth, is he more penalized than a brazen thief? We would think maybe we should have to have a bigger deterrent from a brazen thief. One is not afraid of people and he's not afraid of God. He's not afraid of God, but he's afraid of people, and that's why he steals only in secret. So he shows that he's more afraid of people than God. Kaviyachal, here we employ a euphemism. Kaviyachal asa ayin shel mata. This means a euphemism for God. It makes the heavenly eye ki'ilu ein araya, as if he doesn't see. Va'ayzin shel mata, and the heavenly ear ki'ilu ein shamas. In other words, he's not worried. He's only worried that people might see him. That God shouldn't see him. That he's not worried about. So he shows he's more afraid of people than God. Shenemar, hoi, woe, hamamikim me Hashem, woe, those that go undercover, go deep down from Hashem, last their eitzah to hide their counsel, v'hoya b'machshach masem, and they do their activities in the darkness, so that they don't want people to see them, but not afraid of Hashem seeing them. V'ksiv v'yomru, and they say, as if they say, lo yirayah, God doesn't see, v'lo yavan alikei Yaakov, and he doesn't understand. V'ksiv ki amru ozav Hashem es haaretz. Hashem forsook the earth. He's not busy with the affairs of the earth. Ve'ein Hashem roya. So therefore, such a person who is not afraid of Hashem, that's a bigger crime. Now, you understand, the Gazlan's not afraid of Hashem either. But there is at least, he's not afraid of anybody. But here a person is more afraid of man than God, that's worse. What this could be compared to is L'shnei b'nei Adam, shayu be'er. There were two people in the city. V'asa mishta. And they made a big banquet. Echad zimenes b'nei ha'ir, one invited the whole city, v'loi zimenes b'nei ha'melech. But he didn't invite the royal family. Ve'echad loi zimenes b'nei ha'ir, v'loi zimenes b'nei ha'melech. He didn't invite the people, and he didn't invite the royal family. Eizem ha'moin shemaruba. Which one's penalty is more? The one that invited everybody except the royal family. If you're going to be worried more about the people than about the royal family, that's worse. Rabbi Meir, now why is it that when you steal, when Marshall, let's give credit to where credit is due, when Marshall steals a sheep and sells it, he pays 4 times. He steals an axe and sells it, he pays 5 times. So why is that? How important it is people's parnasa. When Marshall steals somebody's axe, so therefore he takes away his income, chamisha. When he steals a sheep, he didn't take away his income, arba. On the other hand, the Gemara says, look how we are concerned with Marshall's dignity. Even of a thief, even of a marshal. The axe when he steals it, and he doesn't have to schlep it on his back. Chamisha, there he has to pay 5 times. But the sheep that he gives it a ride on his back, that's humiliating, that he had to carry it on his back. So once he's already humiliated then we downgrade the payment to 4, but we only have to pay 4. Rabbi said we're going to stop over here now. The next sugya goes on to tomorrow. We're going to do the Mishnah Yomis now as we...
4. I thought the 4 was because lamb chops were cheaper than
as we start. Well, that figures. We're going to do the Mishnah Yomis now, Rabbi say, and don't forget a whole week, Kim Yitz Hashem, of learning at 8 o'clock. Also, we want to remind you that I'm going to put on tonight already on YouTube a shir from B'Shalach, as I always do from the COVID era. Usually I put on a shir tonight. Other interesting shiurim on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed yet to my YouTube channel, please remember to do so. What's today's dafim?
78, 79.
78 and 79. Thank you.